Ayo! So I have a Tumblr account. If you don't follow me, you really should. mira-l.tumblr.com. I post a lot about Taylor Swift and Miraculous Ladybug. Moving on, every now and then people submit writing prompts for Miraculous Ladybug into my inbox, and sometimes I go ahead and I take that writing prompt and I write a one-shot. So these are the one-shots from January to March 2018. This one, Anonymous asked, for the Miraculous Ladybug prompt, how about some casual interactions between Alya and Adrien? Okay, let's go. You bought a Nintendo Switch? Adrien looked up from fighting moblins to see Alya sitting down on the concrete next to him, legs dangling off the edge. Yeah, he said. I did. Didn't this come out like a year ago or something? Alya asked, taking it from him and holding it higher to get a better look. Well, my father doesn't care for games too much, so... You bought it in secret? Her eyes lit up. Is that why you're playing it behind the school? So your driver won't see? I've tried so hard to stay spoiler-free of the Zelda game, and finally gave in after accidentally watching a cutscene. No worries. Your secret is safe with me. Adrien smiled in relief, reaching out his hand as a gesture for her to return the game system. Class is starting soon. We should go. She stood up before extending her hand and pulling him up. The two of them were almost late to class, taking the time to talk about different characters in Breath of the Wild. Chloe raised an eyebrow when they walked in together, but as soon as class started, the small detail faded from memory. It was just another day of Adrien Agreste talking to his friends at school, after all. Prompt 2 was submitted by Libireleviz, and Sky Maria. Marinette as a demon who is hiding as an angel. Adrien, an angel, discovers this and helps her. Here we go. I trusted you. Ladybird felt her heart break at his words. Demons are angels too, Cat? She whispered. The lump in her throat choked her as she continued. We just grew up differently. She watched as he sighed and ran his fingers through his hair, the spitting image of an idealistic European angel from the Renaissance era. She wasn't supposed to feel like this. She wasn't supposed to fall for the other side. Conceal, don't reveal. That was her rule. She'd spent the last 3 years masquerading as the Archangel Ladybird, but after a misunderstanding and rainy day, she found herself paired up with the bright-eyed Cat Blanc. She wouldn't be surprised if he'd never seen a real demon in the flesh due to his young age. Her body froze as she heard God speak. She couldn't bring herself to look up at the divine being, knowing the divine matter oozing out would dissolve her if she saw it unfiltered. Said God. Ladybird. Her voice was shaking. The angel Cat Blanc. She could hear Cat's voice and could tell he was facing God herself. That alone should prove his innocence. She was the one who risked his wings, and so she should pay the price of exile or restitution. And until you are partners. God's words rang in her ears. Yes, he said. No! Ladybug protested. She wouldn't let him fall for her. Very well, partners you shall be. Her response caused Ladybird to blink in surprise, almost looking up at God in confusion. I see that you're rather attached to this demon. Is that correct? Call me fallen or take away my wings. It doesn't matter, he said, as long as I can stay by her side.
Your sentence is clear to me,
God said. Ladybird held her breath and glanced at Adrien, who, in turn, gave her a small smile.
I hereby renew. From this day on, Ladybird will be known as Ladybug. All nature bugs who crawl into homes for safety find protection. You are exiled to Earth to bless the humans with your powers.
Bless? Ladybug whispered to herself. What did she mean?
And you,
God continued.
You will be sent to Earth, renamed Cat Noir as a mark of your fallen status. May your powers bless the human who finds you.
Will we be together? He asked, stepping forward.
Very well. I'll make sure that whoever you become will see that together.
Become? So we're being reincarnated? Ladybird, now Ladybug, asked.
May fate keep you together,
God answered. And so, through a miraculous event, the identities Ladybug and Cat Noir were born. They didn't know it yet, but they were destined to spend millenniums together, lending their identities to humans in need. But you already know that part of the story, don't you? And prompt 3 also comes from an anonymous user, stating, Drabble request for Marinette and Cat Noir or Adrien talking about cats. Bonus points if you manage to insert ladybugs and cookies. No, really. Please. This cat is prettier than I am, Adrien heard Marinette exclaim from behind him. What? He turned around to see pictures of a fluffy orange cat on Alya's Instagram feed. It's like a cross between a fox and an everlasting kitten, Nino said. I'd call her a real-life Puss in Boots, Alya added. It wasn't like Adrien to get competitive, especially over a feline, but he couldn't resist cutting into the conversation. Yeah, almost as cute as Cat Noir. He intended it to be a joke. His friends would laugh and go back to what they were doing, but they didn't. They just stopped talking, taking a moment to look at him as though he were crazy before looking away. Marinette gave him a giggle as she glanced over at Alya, but Adrien knew she was just being polite. Whoops. He wasn't too good with people, was he? He went home quickly after the final bell rang, as usual. Once he made it to his bedroom, he did something out of schedule for him. He went to the kitchen instead. After a half hour of measurements and whisking, cookies were out of the oven and cooling on a rack. Showtime. One transformation and a few rooftops later, Cat Noir was on the Dupang Chang Bakery's balcony, tapping on the trapdoor that led into Marinette's room. It took a few knocks before she answered, bewildered at what she must have assumed to be an overambitious bird. Hey there! He grinned, stepping back so the door didn't take him out as it opened outward. Cat? What are you? Marinette began. Do you think I'm pretty? He blurted out. Whoops. Not what he wanted to say. She blinked in surprise. Do I... Wait, what? Pretty. Rumor on the street says you think an Instagram cat is cuter than I am. How? She cut herself off, choosing instead to sigh and run her fingers through her hair. Yeah, I guess you're pretty. You guess? The corners of his mouth twitched downwards in a mock frown. Well, okay then. I guess you don't get a prize then. The look on her face was priceless. Adrien knew that she'd respond to Cat Noir differently than her classmates, and this was the kind of relationship he craved to have. A prize? What prize? She didn't give the pity laugh like she would have if she knew he was Adrien. Ta-da! He said, extending a plastic bag of cookies. For the baker's daughter. What is... Marinette began, beginning to laugh at what she saw. She was obviously amused by the cat-shaped cookies he'd cut out less than an hour before. Thank you, Cat. This is... Thanks. So you don't mind it? Mind getting cookies? Mind Paris's cutest superhero stopping by every once in a while? She raised an eyebrow. First of all, you're confusing yourself with Ladybug, she teased. And second, why me? You're pleasant company, that's all. He stepped back a few paces. Theater? Tonight? That new Marvel movie at 8? He left before he could hear her answer, grinning to himself. It'd be hard to go as Adrien aggressed, but since Cat Noir saved the theater manager during an Akuma fight a few months ago, he'd been allowed to go through the employee entrance, so it was nice to not deal with fans or the press. As much as he'd like to go to a movie with Marinette as Adrien, Cat Noir would have to do. He wasn't sure if she'd show up, but when he knocked on her door and she answered it, ready to see a movie, Cat Noir felt like the coolest kitten on the block. Scratch that. With Marinette sitting in the theater seat beside him 20 minutes later, Cat Noir was the ideal image of comfy. And there couldn't possibly be a cuter picture than that. Ayo! So I hope you liked those. Once again, if you have any writing prompts that you would like me to write a one-shot for, you can just, submit an ask on Tumblr. It's not that I'm short on ideas, but I do like interacting with you guys. Anyway, I'll write and record another one at the end of next season. So, I'll post again at the end of June. Catch you next time!